Hey everyone, my name is Rooster, and welcome back to Mechabellum. Today's video is quite an exciting game against none other than Woot, aka Mechabellum's boat captain. Whether we'll see some boats, we'll have to leave until further in the video, but what we can do is have a look at these starting packs. Now, supply spec would be playable. Fang Gaming has been quite popular. For the ones that saw my most recent video, it actually seems to be quite meta, so that would be a pack for that. Training spec Spider, not bad either. Aerial spec Ball could get into Wraith. But I decided to go for Amplify spec Hound Mustang, which, as a starting pack goes, I think Hound Mustang might be one of the worst. Struggles into crawlers, kind of, and, well, both units can get punished very heavily. But I got a nice slab of hit points, and I felt like playing something a little bit different here, so this is what I ended up going for. I also know that Wood likes to play a lot of air units, so I was kind of trying to prepare against that, perhaps, with some Mustangs on the board already. Now, that is not at all what happens. Woot ends up with my favorite specialist, which is Elite, and he actually is going to be playing a standard game, fully symmetrical around the towers, sledgehammers to begin with in front of the towers, and picks up double level 2 arc lights on round 1, alongside the 3 he already had from his starting pack. So no chaff. But yeah, I mean, this is the type of opener that Hound Mustang really does not want to face. Sledgehammers, very hard to kill, and level 2 arc lights especially will be brutal. Now, I do my best by stacking all my units on one side. That tends to be the best way to play Mustang openers because by themselves they kind of struggle, right? They're not the best into things like crawlers, as I mentioned, or some of the tankier units like the ones on my opponent's board. But if you stack all of them in one spot, you can kind of get away with it and sometimes end up, you know, snowballing one side and get those crucial levels. Now, here, we may be able to do so, although I say that, look at these arc lights just crushing my board. We do get through the first pack of sledgehammers, but with one arc light going down, I think that'll be all she wrote. Arc lights are there to clean up the rest of my Mustangs. The right side, we don't even have to talk about. There's no way we're going to kill those guys. And yeah, we take some, I mean, significant amount of damage for round 1. Luckily, we did start with a good slab of hit points, but if we don't stabilize quickly here, we might end up in, well, a pickle. Round number 2, Advanced Missile Device gets picked up by Woot. Interesting pickup. It is a very good card. Sometimes you can get amazing value out of it. In late game especially, it can be strong. This goes for double crawler here, which is a sensible move. Does leave him somewhat vulnerable to air threats, but I guess I do have some anti-air, so, you know, I don't need to go for an air unit myself here. It would just be mainly to try and deal with the opponent's units. Now, I was thinking, well, I didn't see any chaff, and Arclight and Sledgehammer are both units that are quite hackable. So what if we just try and get into Hacker here as quick as we can? It's a nice unit to pair up with Mustangs and Hounds, and I might be able to, you know, stabilize this very quickly, so let's just go for it. I have enough money to be able to afford this as well. I get one Hacker on the board, I buy another Crawler in the back, and a Missile to try and deal with any, you know, cheeses potentially on the right side. Doesn't seem to be the case that it will happen, but yeah, look at this. We immediately hack one of his sledgehammers. Very, very good. Now, the crawlers are tanky, and as I said, quite hard to kill for my Mustangs and Hounds, but with all of them stacked together, we seem to be doing a decent job. And now we can start hacking away at those arc lights, especially the higher level one. Looks quite juicy. This one gets taken over, barely, but we'll be able to help out taking down that tower. And, well, it looks like maybe this missile will get triggered. As I say that, though, maybe just outside of the range. That is insane. I really thought the missile would trigger there, but we get to keep it, which honestly is quite good for us. And look at that. Hacker takes over an arc light, gets an insta level. I mean, that's about as good as I could hope for there on round 1, considering the bad matchup we started with. Round number 3, we get some unit reinforcements. Phantom Ray, a little bit scary, perhaps. Can sometimes run that armor tech, which is a problem for Mustang. So ideally, I try to get something that helps me deal with that, which is going to be the Marksman, and it is available in the unit drop, which is very nice. Wu decides to go for the Sabertooth, which is hackable, but he might just end up putting it somewhere else. It also sells for a good amount of money. So looks like it's going to go on the right side to avoid my hacker, and at the same time try and maybe tank a missile and get a tower debuff. I do grab some more chaff here. Fang's very good, of course, against things like arc lights, and I saw that my opponent had an advanced missile device, and I did not want to get my hacker missiled here. So we're just going to go triple chaff for the time being. Kind of make sure that our front line is covered against any, well, type of missiles. And that will be the round for now. I would love to get range on my hounds, my mustangs, my hackers. A barrier on hackers would be great, but we're still a while off from that. Missile will trigger on the saber. So good use of that unit right there. I did level this tower, so at least it's a little bit tankier. But against the level 2 saber, it'll only take 2 shots for it to go down and debuff us for 7 seconds. Range also now has been picked up already for Woot on those arc lights, and yeah, there we go, 7 seconds of debuff. It'll be plenty for these arc lights to start farming, and so many levels available too. Level 3 arc lights is what we're already looking at. The level 1's able to level as well. Pretty brutal round number 3, but hey, we did get debuffed, so if we can avoid that, maybe we're in with a chance. Round 4 though, anti-interference module showing up is not exactly what I was hoping for. And yeah, that is a little bit nasty because it will prevent our hackers from doing their job. Looks like it'll go onto that Sabertooth for now, which I don't mind too much. I wasn't planning on dealing with this with a hacker because I felt like I needed to, you know, do something about the left side of the board first. Just going to put a crawler there, as sabers aren't exactly good at chaff clearing. Maybe it could even kill. I'm not exactly sure about the break point there. And the first thing I'm going to pick up is range on my hounds, because I could notice that my opponent was trying to build a little bit more chaff, so I wasn't entirely sure how good the hacker was going to be, and we need to get through all those small units anyway, so grabbing range on hound felt like a good idea. Getting some experience on them will help down the line as well. Looks like we do end up winning against that Sabertooth, so that's lovely. And the hounds even pick up an immediate level there. So great stuff. Arc lights though will farm my hacker, and I don't think my level 1 marksmen have enough damage to get through these tanky fellas. So round 4, also a loss, but a lot closer than the previous round. And again, it's a bit of a setup round, right? I had a lot of text that I needed to get, and I finally managed to grab one of them. Maybe as I grab the second, we'll be able to start winning again. Just going to speed things up a bit here. Hounds are stuck on that level tower on the right. Arc lights should do a better job of getting through my level tower, and then they will just finish off my hounds. There we go. Scary board though. Such high level arc lights already, as we have just entered the mid game. Round number 5, Assault Vulcan shows up yet again. Showed up earlier, but that's when Woot picked up that anti-interference module. This time around, he will actually pick it up. Advanced Defensive Tactics looked decent to me as well. It's very good for Hound, very good for Mustang. Not a bad thing either for something like Hacker, but it is very expensive. And as I mentioned, I need a ton of money to get the things I need, which are those techs. So I decide to skip. Opponent does pick up the Assault Vulcan, and look at this flank that is being set up here. Arclight, Mustang, and Crawler on that flank, looking quite nasty. And this is where he picks up range on the Mustang. No Assault Vulcan to be seen just yet. Sledgehammers have been sold, so he is kind of just making sure that there are less hackable units on the board. And look at this. We have managed now to get all 3 techs that I wanted. Range on the hacker, we add 1 more in the middle, as that's where all of those high-level arc lights are residing. And we grab range on the Mustang as well, even being able to pick up a level. Right side, though, that looks scary. We likely will get debuffed by that. Seems like the Saber, I mean, yeah, it would have died again, but this time around, the arc light spawns in, the Mustangs are there, the Hounds mostly stuck on the Sabertooth as well, so this will be another debuff, sadly. And then the question is, well, the main board honestly looks quite good. Seems like I would be winning here, if not for the 7-second debuff. Would have taken over these 2 arc lights, but instead, the arc lights managed to fight back in time, prevent the hack from going through, and I take a little bit more damage, sending me down to 2.2k hit points. So now we have a flank to deal with. It seems like the main board's okay. Lucky for me, there is a unit drop here, which might allow me to deal with that flank. I think the Wraith looks the most promising in that regard. Aside from that, I mean, doesn't look like any of the other things would be that amazing. Void Eye, I guess, would help a little bit. My board is somewhat vulnerable to things like barriers. I don't have the best shield break, so Void Eyes would help with that. But I really wanted to try and deal with this flank. I mean, that's 3 deployments, make it 4 with the Sabertooth there. So just being able to counter it with a lone Wraith, I think is a good deal. I will elite recruit here because I felt like I needed the level 2 hackers, and I was also kind of looking at barrier, right, which scales with levels. But look at that. Elite recruit, Assault Vulcan with the armor enhancement pickup and the anti-interference module gets moved on it as well. That seems like a proper nightmare to deal with. For those of you that don't know, hackers deal a third of their damage when they have to actually deal damage. So like against things like barriers, or in case a unit has an anti-interference module, which means it takes an awful long time to get through those things. And yeah, when the unit has 200,000 hit points and the armor also is blocking, you know, every instance of damage, at least to a certain degree, it makes it quite tough to get through this thing. So yeah, doesn't look like this round is meant to be ours. My units are doing their very best, but we're just about managing to get through, you know, half of that Vulcan. And at that point, the Arclights have just farmed our entire army. The Wraith did do well, was able to protect the tower, which we did level to level 3. But yeah, now I need a melter. It is that simple. We do lose a missile, sadly, but I think my right side tower is strong enough at this point to be able to withstand most attacks. But it does mean that we enter round number 7 with 1,100 hit points. I do manage to grab a barrier here, which seemed like a fine pickup since, well, the only thing that's going to kill this Vulcan is going to be a melter. And if I'm going to pick up a melter, why not grab a barrier as well? They will kind of overlap a little bit, but it's never bad to have an item like this. Opponent also could grab one, didn't do so, which was surprising. Goes for a melting point themselves instead. Lucky for me, I did try to defend this turret at least a little bit by putting a Fang in front. Looks like for the time being that will stall the melter, at least for a little bit. It's also a level 3 tower, so even if it goes down, it's only 5 seconds worth of debuff. Another melter there on the left. And that seems to be what this round is going to be all about. Lucky for me, though, I think the melter will insta-lock. It will. Now, I cannot take it over because it does have the anti-interference module, but at least it will remove that roadblock. And perhaps allow our hackers to finally start hacking some of these Arclights, because that was the idea, after all, when we grabbed them. But it's taken about 7 rounds to finally stabilize the board between the flanks on the right side, the anti-interference module, and that massive Vulcan showing up. Looks like we have prevented a tower debuff indeed, and now I am starting to take over some Arclights here and there. Might even be able to take over that melting point. I think I will be able to do so. Melter there turns all of a sudden, does decide to take down my level 2 tower, but luckily I have managed to take over the level 2 melter. And with that, we should be able to win a round at last. And that's when we're in round number 8, and it's already the late game. It's been quite a crazy adventure so far. Perhaps, you know, a testament to how rough it can be to play Hound Mustang, but at least we may be able to turn this game into something. Now, round number 8, another anti-interference module showed up, by the way. It wasn't picked up. Instead, it's the intensive training here for Woot, as he picks up more Mustangs, elite recruited at level 3. Make that level 4 with the intensive. I'm going to buy a melting point to try and insta-lock this melter for Woot, but it is in a bit of an awkward spot, as I should have probably put it a little bit more to the right. I think I do briefly think about doing so, but then I put it back next to the tower because I was afraid it would maybe get pulled by the flank if something showed up over there. I should have, you know, in hindsight, put it right in front so we could have gotten this insta-lock since this melter is on the line. Shield here for Woot, a missile interceptor to try and stop any missiles from killing these units. I put a missile on the flank here, trying to predict maybe a crawler there. And, I mean, that's pretty much the round over. We grab some levels. We do loan. Temp range has been picked up. Very important. This arrow is, I believe, lying, as this melting point should not go forward. Indeed, it doesn't. It goes for the crawler. Lucky for me, that right side's still doing well. This Wraith I'm going to keep because it kills, you know, a good amount of units from the opponent. Thankfully, the Melter does eventually manage to find the lock and kill the shield, kill the Melter. It will go down to the Mustangs, but that's not the end of the world. This is still a level 3 turret at the end of the day. We do manage to break through the shields. Hopefully this Wraith can do something. Doesn't quite look like it, though. Melter will help out. Arc lights are getting hacked. Tower will fall on the right side, but I think we have enough material on the board still to be able to put up a fight, and it won't be the end of this game. We will send it to round number 9. Awfully close, though. These Mustangs, they're scary. I have some myself, thankfully, but yeah, Melter and Hacker not exactly made to deal with these Mustangs, but they can tank. And you can see here how valuable that shield tech is on the Hacker, as it allows us to take round number 8. Here comes round number 9 with unit reinforcements. Now, I saw the steel balls and I thought to myself, well, with the Melter on the line, you know, that might not be bad. I have armor enhancement on there as well, which is very good against Mustang. I didn't really give it a second thought. However, in this unit drop, there is also Raiden offered. And it seems like Woot expected me to go ball because, again, it just looked so good, right, in this scenario. And Raiden kind of perfectly counters that. So what you will see here is a Raiden eventually getting picked up. There it is. The Melter sold. And now I'm staring down, you know, at least 2 Raidens. Make that 3, make that 4. With 2 of them being blue. Looking at my steel balls. Fork gets picked up as well, which means that we'll have to deal with 5 of these electrical beams being fired. This does not look like a good round for me whatsoever. Definitely something that I could have predicted, I think, considering it was available in the unit drop. But yeah, suddenly the steel ball play doesn't look as good as I thought it would. Mech Rage now has been picked up on the Hounds. It was a tech I still needed. Just trying to get through the chaff a bit quicker and hopefully help my Hackers and Melters from locking onto the correct things. Will we be okay against this, though? I mean, luckily the Raidens don't have range just yet, but there's already 4 of them, and Raiden scales like no other. I do luckily have some Mustangs, so maybe we can get something done. Again, if the Melter locks on, then that would be nice. It does. Again, no range means it does get in front of those Mustang. So it gives my Melter some good targets to shoot at. We do take over an Arc Light, which now starts farming the enemy units. And with a Tower debuff, the Melter actually does a really, really good job of killing almost every single Raiden. Only 1 is still left. And that is probably the best round that we've had so far. Melter here will take down the remaining Raiden. And we'll do a little bit more chip damage, probably sending the opponent down to about, you know, below 2k or so. Oh, around 2k, 2.1. Round number 10. We do get advanced defensive tactics if I decide to pick it. There is a redeploy as well, though. And, well, for me, the main thing here was sell one of the balls because it is simply feeding a lot of experience to these units, and the other can get redeployed. So we sell, we redeploy here to the back, as that seemed like the safest spot. Also, if something happened to show up on the flank, the ball would be able to deal with it and help out my Mustang. This seemed like the safest spot for that unit to be. Looks like an armored Vulcan has again been purchased, and it does go on the flank. So I'm very happy about this steel ball here. I was not expecting a Vulcan to show up there. I thought, you know, maybe like an armored Rhino or something. But that is a very good deal for us. Now, we still have to deal with these Raidens, though, which now have got the range, which means that they will sit behind the Mustangs. And, well, the best thing I felt like I could do was just grab another melter. It seemed like the melters were doing okay. If I can clear the chaff, then it's not, you know, the worst. The one concern I had was if I don't kill him fast, he'll be able to grab EMP. And I don't know what to do about that, really. I would have to grab something like Photon, maybe, but that's when things get really bad. So let's kind of see how this goes. I do missile here again on the flank, expecting something to show up there. The Mustang gets redeployed. A missile will take out at least a crawler. Yeah. Melter here is somewhat distracted. Left side is still in a good spot, at least for us. It does seem like we win, but we don't have the quickest of units, and taking down the tower takes a while. Melting point, getting stuck on chaff, sadly. Looks like my chaff clear is not quite good enough. Maybe I need a couple more hounds to help me out, but if I do that, then I don't have enough to kill these Raidens, so maybe my best option would be to grab some Mustang. Melting point here doing its very best. Perhaps a well-timed debuff could help me out. The crawlers luckily will get taken out, so no debuff or counter debuff for Woot is going to happen here. And now this hacker trudging through. That oil will finally get to protect my melting point. And with that, maybe, just maybe, we can take out the Raidens. Looks like we will be able to. The crawlers finally get in front, and I do win the round. But it's not quite enough. Woot down to 1200. We've almost equalized. And at this point, we're in round 11. And the fourth unit reinforcement round shows up with Abyss Mountain, Sledgehammer, and Wasp. Yeah. Well, nothing here seemed that great to me. Sledgehammers would get one shot. Abyss and Mountain, same thing, would just get stuck. And I don't think they can fight against, you know, this heavy of a stack of Raidens. I could go for Wasp, but again, I mean, look at the amount of Mustang there, right? For the opponent, it's a little bit better. They do get access to the Sledgehammers, which I currently don't have anything against. Maybe I should try and go for energy diffraction here preemptively. That would be an idea. I do have a lot of money available. I will go for the second attack enhancement. And, well, as I said, it did look like I had some chaff clear problems. So that was what I was trying to resolve here. I will beacon my units over since they're kind of getting stuck over here. We saw what the oil was doing. More Raidens are getting picked up on the other side. Seems like a fairly straightforward thing to do here. I think once you have, you know, double tech Raiden and you're in round 11... just buy more of them. They are a really scary unit that skills extremely well. And, well, lucky for me, it hasn't clicked electromagnetic shot yet. Maybe that gives me an in, but it is a very scary stack of units. I decide to go for oil here with a Fire Badger that has the Scorching Charge, so it will at least leave a little bit of fire there on the ground. Again, I was trying to solve the chaff clear problems I had, hopefully allowing these melters to lock on. I do go for energy absorption first. I wasn't quite thinking about the option of the sledgehammers there. Mostly just busy selling my own units. Perhaps I was more attentive to it. I could have clicked mechanical division. But, I mean, look at the damage there. Absolutely insane from those Raidens. Getting through all of my melters is doing its best. It is healing back up, but eventually it will go down. And, I mean, that's the power of those Raidens. Left side, that tower is level 4. Luckily, I do have some steel balls to take care of it, but it's only 3 seconds worth of debuff, which isn't amazing. I have one more melter left, but the debuff here, yeah, doesn't quite favor us. I do manage to take out one more Raiden, maybe 1 or 2 more. That would be ideal. Well, actually, it looks like we will take down all of them. And it's awfully close, but not quite enough, as Woot finds themselves down to 432 hit points. Round number 12, Advanced Offensive Tactic shows up, Electromagnetic Impact shows up. I decide to go for the EMP. It felt, you know, like a worthwhile attempt. I know that it's likely that photon boats will show up, as, well, this is simply too high of a value, but just in case he forgets the photon, which he doesn't, it is such a high value spell, and it's very little risk for the low cost of it, that it was just worth it. Now, here comes the EMP, which I was talking about earlier. It coincides with the spell. I did expect this, so I decided to go for photon emission on my Farseer. And I decided to go for energy diffraction on the melter because, well, those sledgehammers were very, very annoying last round. I will have at least some fire. The redeploy, I think, has been used to retrieve a Mustang. They do have aerial specialization as well. And at this point, I mean, I'm just kind of crossing my fingers and hoping that it'll work. We do go, of course, for the temporary range. Very important. Bunch of missiles to try and kill as much chaff. And I buy another melter there, as we have 3. 1 level 3, 2 level... 1 level 2, 1 level 1. And I just hope that, you know, the photon lasts long enough that I can get some lock-ons, prevent the melters from dying with the energy absorption, and somehow defeat this onslaught of units. Whether it's enough, though, only time will tell. This is round number 12. And yeah, it is some proper craziness. EMP won't do much. Photon will block that perfectly. Multi-melt doing a good job of at least killing some of the smaller units there. Hopefully we can start getting some lock-ons, though, because the photon emission doesn't last that long. Only 20 seconds or so. And one of the melters already gone down. It is trying to heal back up, but ugh. Yeah, that photon just not quite lasting long enough. And there are still 5 Raidens with triple tech left. We have so many units on the board still. But some Mustangs have survived and they will be able to take down some of the chaff. And even without that, I mean, we're looking at so many units. 25 units getting deleted at every shot of these 5 Raidens. And sadly, that will be the end of our journey as we lose on round number 12. This game just went a little bit too long. I did know that EMP was going to come out, but as you can see, Photon just doesn't last long enough. I think that, you know, one of the crucial rounds here was on round 8 or 9 when we saw that that unit drop. I guess it was round 9. Yes, with the unit drop. I think here I should have predicted that Raiden would have come out and not gone for the steel balls, or at least, you know, sold one of them and not doubled down so much, because it was a waste of resources at the end of the day with that armor enhancement. We could try and replay this from my side if I did expect the Raiden to come out. I think I could have maybe picked it myself as well, but it might be better to just pick up a steel ball here and just maybe put that over here, or even like try our luck on the left side. Let's say that we really predicted exactly what the opponent would do. Grab that melter level. Lone is important. I think temp speed is honestly quite important as well. The level on the Hound we should take. And then the question is, what else do we do? Well, I think we would just pick up more melters at that point. And try and have them, you know, lock on to the enemy. Oiled here could also be quite useful just to slow down the enemy push. We could use that next turn to try and set the oil on fire. And I could go for a diffract if I wanted. But I guess in this scenario, I don't really need to. The diffract was mostly against the sledgehammers that showed up way late. What do I want here? I mean, chaff clear could be nice. I think I do have to maybe put a missile over here to try and clear some of the chaff if we can. Defense enhancement seems like it would be fine. I think a level on the Hacker is lovely. Level on the Mustang is lovely as well. And maybe we just take that level on the Melter. See how this goes. Not an amazing missile from me there. I mean, I do lack some chaff on this side of the board. Let's see how this goes. I guess the one thing that those steel balls did do was buy some crucial time. Looks like the Melter doesn't even do too well. Oh, very good debuff timer though for me, but it's not enough to kill all of the Raidens. We will collapse, and it seems like we may end up doing a bit more damage than I did on that given round. Which would have helped, considering, you know, in the end, we did lack like 400 damage or so. If we go back to the replay, I did 1700 damage there. At the start of this round, we were at 3200. At the end of it, yes, I would have done about 500 more damage, which if the game kind of progressed in the way that it did, we would have been able to win through that. Another thing, I guess, would have been round 11 with the sledgehammers. On this given round, I could have tried to maybe, just maybe, go for not mechanical division, diffract on the melters. Let's try and pick that up. It's long, let's go for temp range. Temp speed, important too. And at this point, I think I would like to maybe move over this Mustang. We did get oiled here. I think this was the round where I went for the Badger play, which I quite like, so I think I will do that again. We have plenty of money. Let's do this, set that on fire. And then, I mean, we could even go for the energy absorption, honestly. I think a missile here would help as well. Try and get rid of all of the chaff as fast as we can. Maybe just some more melters at this point. I mean, it is just a good thing to buy more melters once you're teching them this much. I won't have the money for the absorption this way, but I don't think I necessarily need it right now. Hacker levels could be useful. We could also move these guys across, which I quite like. Kind of help out the main army there. We're gonna leave this steel ball where it is. And, I mean, at that point, maybe like range or something. Or not range, but levels on these hounds to help out with chaff clear. Although we are setting the board on fire, so I guess it's not that important. Maybe we just grab a level there on that hacker. See how this does. Should do better than however the round went for us, because we now do have that diffraction. Maybe the energy absorption is required, though, because we are taking a boatload of damage. Yeah, the melters are trying their very best, but it still takes a while, even to get through the sledgehammers, to be honest. Look at that damage. It is quite insane. I think maybe we did need absorption there in the end. It is crazy how much damage these guys are putting out when you stack them together like that. And we even would have taken damage. I believe that I won that round, as crazy as it sounds, so this would have just lost. I guess one final thing we could try is diffract plus absorb and hope that works, but yeah, kind of a wild round. So we go for the cell, obviously. We have to go for the fire. I'm sure that that was good. Get that done. Let's make sure that we click both of the techs that we need. I will move over this Mustang because I do think it's important. Let's missile this. And then, well, what do we want? I mean, I kind of want to like try and move over this guy, I guess. As we did. I don't think that was a bad play. Aside from that, I mean, the one problem we also have is there's not like a ton of chaff, but it's hard to put down chaff that doesn't get instantly deleted. I think it would probably be better to recruit a level 2 melting point if we could. What I could do is just grab, you know, a couple of crawlers or fangs and just buy a singular level 2 melter. Maybe that's the best thing to do here. This one being at level 1 is certainly not ideal. We might just end up going crawler and then another melting point somewhere over here. I could also put it like here, because this one seemed to be a little bit too far removed from the action, but it's tough to say. I could even like put it, I guess, all the way over here and hope that it somehow like locks on. Tough to say. I will give it a crawler. And then I guess we take a Mustang level and maybe a Hound level and call it a day. Let's see how this goes, though. The sledgehammers did die very, very slowly from the looks of things. But the healing does make a big difference, it seems, because these melters, they were getting one shot before. But now, with the healing, they do survive for a lot longer. One of them gets taken out. Temp speed here hasn't been clicked, which is, I think, a mistake. But it seems like we will end up winning this with the help of that absorption tech. So triple tech melter would have been the required play, and I do believe this would have been enough to win. So there we go. That would have been the best course of action. Triple tech melter. It would have been one round as well before the EMP came out. And yeah, tough game. Definitely a tough one. But, you know, 12 rounds is always interesting. Close one. Lots of different plays here, from the early hacker to stabilizing to the Vulcans with armor into the Raiden pivot. I mean, there was stuff happening all over the field. It started on the left side, it ended on the right. Crazy, crazy stuff. If you like this video, please leave a thumbs up. Let me know below what you thought of this game. And if you want to stay up to date with latest content, please consider subscribing. If you want to see me play live, check me out on Twitch. With that being said, take care, guys, and see you next video. Bye-bye.